morning, whatever time of day it is that you're watching. This is episode 19 of the Lochknits knitting podcast. My name is Haley. I'm a tattoo artist, crafter, knitter, spinner, maker from Northeast Pennsylvania in the United States. This is episode 19. I did check before I started filming because I could have sworn it was episode 21. It is not. If you guys watched my last episode, I have strayed from the traditional show and tell style of the podcast to do a 25 free granny stitch pattern roundup sort of video. That was a lot of fun. I always forget how much work goes into that, especially in the editing portion of the podcast, just throwing up all the patterns and videos and everything. So I appreciate everyone who watched it and gave it a like and everything. I love whenever videos that take forever are well received. I have a little bit of a shorter episode today. My hair looked great like 30 seconds ago. I have a little bit of a shorter episode today. I'm kind of in the midst of a bunch of different things happening right now. We are at the very tail end of Tour de Fleece. That ends, I'm filming today is Thursday the 17th or 18th, and Tour de Fleece ends this Sunday. So I have a few spinning projects that I want to get started to have as a little end cap for Tour de Fleece. After Tour de Fleece ends, I'm going to actually do a video talking about everything that I've spun. I've been keeping very good track of my yardage that I've been spinning. I have a lot of great before and after pictures. I like to compare how the fiber actually spins up versus how it looked when I first started working with it. I've learned chain plying. There's just like a lot of really exciting stuff happening on the Tour de Fleece front, but all of that is gonna come in a separate video. Let me stand up so I can show you what I'm wearing. I am so stoked on this finished object. Let me stand up and give you a little spin. So this is the As Friends tank by Jessie May. Everybody on the planet knows who Jessie May is because she's like #1 size inclusive practical pattern writer. I have actually knit this tank top before, and I'm gonna do a follow-up about the other one that I had made on a separate video because it actually does need a little bit of sweater surgery, some like chopping and mending and things like that, but I'll talk about that on another episode. This one is made entirely out of handspun yarn, which is really exciting. This is technically my first handspun garment, like 100% handspun. This was just like a pipe dream inspiration that I had gotten from my friend Megan. I'll talk about the yarn that I made to make this pattern, but I want to talk a little bit about the pattern itself first. So like I said, I have made this in the past. Okay. So I have actually made, like I said, this tank top in the past, and what I really liked about this was that it was a super easy stockinette, bottom up, do a triangle, 2 for the back. The front and back are exactly the same, which I think is fine for like a hangy sort of like oversized tank top like this. It doesn't need to be super fitted. It just kind of like, you know, hangs off you in a good way. In the pattern, I talked about on the last 2 episodes ago, whenever it was that I talked, no, oh my God, that was a long time ago. Whenever I talked about this version of the tank top on the previous episode, I had done as the pattern called for, and I'll put in a picture of the pattern itself because you'll be able to see that the bottom calls for a sort of like rolled hem, I think it would be called, where you basically just knit stockinette for a couple rows, do a purl bump, and then flip it the other way. I'm pretty sure is how it's constructed. But long story short, I did ribbing on this tank top, and just sort of a little like precursor to me talking about the other version of this is that I did ribbing on this one because the other one did not work out. So if you have seen that pattern, or if you just saw that picture and thought, wow, that would be incredibly likely to roll up on itself, you would be right. So I actually wore that tank top to Maryland sheep and wool over like a turtleneck. It was like crazy, like weird weather, and I wore it all day, and my experience overall just changed a lot from when it was a brand new, crispy, fresh, finished object. All that to say, I think the bones of the pattern are really great, and to make it perfect for me, I just had to make a few adjustments. This handspun version, I started out by doing just a plain 1x1 rib at the bottom, and then working my way up, and I followed the pattern after the ribbing through to like the triangle portions on the front and back. One big change that I made was with the straps. That also came into play on the previous version. The straps, I don't know if it was because it was like fingering weight or superwash. I don't really like have a problem with superwash. The like big stretching thing like doesn't really happen to me, but maybe it did in this instance. I found after wearing this tank top for a day that the straps became way too long, which is not typically my experience with Jessie May patterns. I usually actually have to extend the straps on a lot of her patterns, like the ripple bralette and I can't think of it, but like the more plain tank top version. Typically, I find myself extending the straps on Jessie May patterns by at least like 3 to 4 inches. I do take good detailed notes in like my Ravelry pages and everything so that I can revisit them later. And this was not my experience on this one. So these straps are actually just stockinette. And I think there's some like slip stitches involved or something, but for the most part, these are stockinette. They're not her usual 1x1 rib or like ribbed straps on a tank top. And I like that about them. I find that like strap knitting on tank tops is like one of the most thankless parts of finishing a tank top. Like, just let me out of here, let me be free. These ones work up really quickly. And like I had said in the previous episode, because they're knit halfway and joined at the top, unlike the rest of her patterns, which are typically knit from the front and then joined at the very back, they finish up really quickly. And I do feel like it's easier to get a better fit when they're joined at the top of your shoulders here. And if you want to put in a little like shoulder shaping by changing the length of the strap in the front or the back, it's much easier to do. I shortened the straps a lot on this version and it seems to have worked out well. This is the first time that I'll be wearing it in like an all day sort of capacity, but this is also not a superwash yarn, so I don't really know if that's going to be incredibly helpful if I go make it again in the future with another superwash yarn. Let me talk about the yarn because this yarn is so special. So I'll put in footage from the Moon and Yarn craft room for the 1-year anniversary party that we had. It was basically just an enormous party at the craft room, and we all sort of congregated outside under some tents to do crafting, knitting, spinning, crocheting. And my friend Megan, who is a very talented yarn dyer, Rainbow Cake Cat, brought her spinning wheel and was spinning some fiber that she had just that day bought at the Moon and Yarn craft room. And I was so inspired just watching her spin. She was just moving like so fast that I was like, I want to do that. I can do that. So just her technique really inspired me and like totally propelled me into all of the like crazy spinning bender that I've been on for the last couple of months. But one of the bobbins that she had just kicking around on her spinning wheel was full of like all of her little ends and bits and bobs and like the fleece parts that come off of like the main spin. All of her little like scraps were on this bobbin, and it was just like a crazy scrap bobbin. If you remember from my stash video, I'll try to like dig through and find like a screenshot, but I had this huge plastic bag full of little ends and bits and things that were fiber or fiber related or art yarn, just things that I wasn't super stoked about like throwing in the trash, but I didn't know what to do with them. And I'm so glad that 6 months ago Haley did not throw those away, because I came home and I started my own scrap bobbin and I dug through that plastic bag, and almost every single little like bit that I could pull out of there and spin onto a bobbin, I just threw on there. I was spinning 1 ply of incredibly scrappy crazy yarn, and then I spun a ply of just plain cream colored like undyed roving, no it wasn't roving, comb top. I'm trying to get better with like my terminology, and I'm very certain it was comb top because it was incredibly smooth and easy to spin. I do have a little bit of the cake of yarn left over. I will show you. This is what I came up with. I don't know about you guys, but I just like absolutely love this. I am queen of scraps, queen of minis. This just totally feeds into that. I think this is so pretty. I find like this style of yarn to be so inspiring because it just can be anything. It's perfectly imperfect. So honestly, this was probably like a month or 2 ago that I had spun this by now, and my spinning has gotten a lot more consistent even from that time. So this came out to be like a heavy fingering or like a sport weight gauge. I sort of had to let it be what it wanted to be because there were so many different fiber types, and some of the things that I was spinning like were already pieces of hand spun yarn, so they'd already been like morphed into something already. So I was kind of trying to like unpick them and work backwards, so I didn't have as much control as I would have if I were just spinning fiber from a braid or a bat. But I'll do another close-up here. I just love, like, some of my favorite colors are this hot pink mixed with the white. The tealy, like, green mint color is so pretty. I have a, where is it? There it is. All of this blue yarn was hand spun yarn that I had knit into a hat many years ago. And then there are some funny parts, like obviously when you get into the triangle, you're doing shorter rows, so you get these bigger stripes and everything. This one is like almost entirely pink, which is fine. Like, that's just life. It just is what it is. But again, I love like the nature of this project, just being kind of like a, you know, whatever, just is what it is. So this is my scrappy first hand spun project ever. It was so much fun. It was very potato chippy with the color changes and just having absolutely no idea how this is gonna work up. I've already since started another bobbin of scrap yarn and little like bits and ends and things like that. So there will be more of this to come in the future. How pretty would this be as like a granny stitch shawl? Oh, I love it. Very inspiring. That was exactly what I wanted it to be. I am so stoked on this. Nate made a good point that this is a wool tank top, and it sure is. It definitely feels like a wool tank top. The sport weight yarn definitely helps like cut the heavy factor down. Maybe not necessarily the warmth, but it's cool, you know? Maybe like a transitional piece as we go into like fall and everything. I'm gonna put my shirt back on. Sock and I went to the Salvation Army just for fun because we just wanted to do a little like totally unnecessary shopping, and I got this button up from American Eagle, which is great. It was $3. It's super cute. I've been having a difficult time with my wardrobe sort of overall because of the recent hair color change. Can't exactly tell on camera, but in the light it's very light. It's very like orangey. Just not been inspired to like wear my all black things. It's starting to like weigh me down a little bit, make me feel a little like drab. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that I got my, since the last time I podcasted, maybe 2 episodes ago, I started and finished my chest. So my chest was not tattooed until very recently, and I got through all the lines and about half of the shading before I said, I can't do this, I gotta go home. And then I came back for the second session and got the second set of flowers filled in. But this was a little motivating, you know, to like bust out the tank tops. I haven't been wearing tank tops outside because I don't want this to be in like direct sunlight for, you know, a couple months, just let it settle and everything. But I figured for the podcast I would show it off. It was a lot of work and a lot of pain, but I love how it turned out. Let's talk about what Chicken Darling's wearing, because I've never talked about this on the podcast. Chicken Darling was starting to look kind of like Donald Duck with just being nude all the time, and I decided to improvise. Oh my god. I decided to improvise a little shawl for Chicken Darling. If you guys are new, Chicken Darling is a member of my family, made for me by my best friend Brienne, who is Moon and Yarn. She owns the Moon and Yarn craft room in Pittsburgh. She brought Chicken Darling into this world. Chicken Darling is now the de facto mascot of this podcast, and I don't know why she's looking a little sad today. Improvised this little shawl for her. This is out of some of that mystery yarn. It's like a berry color fingering weight. I made a miniature triangle shawl, and then I joined it in the round. I cast on a few stitches and went around and around and around, and then it actually came out way too big, so I tied a knot for her in the back to keep it on. But this is Chicken Darling's summer fit. She is wonderful. She is cute. She's she's my special gal. I have another finished object, equally as exciting. I've been getting so much wear out of this, but I finished the Ranunculus t-shirt, not a sweater. Some people call it a sweater, it doesn't matter to me, but it's a t-shirt. It's a little wrinkly because it's been in my drawer because I've been getting a ton of wear out of it. I finished this up. This is out of Liru crochet cotton. All the information will be down below if you like want to know what I'm talking about. And I usually take very good detailed notes on my Ravelry page. So my Ravelry, all that good stuff is linked down below. There's a project page for literally everything that I talk about. But yeah, this is a bamboo linen blend that I got on a whim from the Moon and Yarn Craft Room, and she does have some available. I'll put like a direct link when you see the information for the yarn in the description box. I'll put a direct link to her website because you can buy it at the sale price right now, available on her website. There was one skein of this left that I had seen, and I picked it up thinking, oh, I can totally squeeze in a linen bamboo shirt, and I did. So I made the Ranunculus. This is my first Ranunculus. I know everyone on the planet has made it before. I just love this color, like this gold, like wheat color is so pretty. It has a little bit of shine to it. I don't know if you can see in the, yeah, I think. The drape is just absolutely incredible. I talked a lot about the Ranunculus on my previous episode that I'll put a link to up above if you are interested. I have to say, the pattern is everything that everyone says it is. It's not overhyped. The hype is completely true. I have more of these planned. I have one for my friend Megan that she's picked out some yarn for. I think the real star of the show, obviously the Ranunculus is great and we love it. The real star is this yarn. I have never had such a, I mean, you can see the drape from here. I've never had a knitted garment that feels like you're wearing nothing when you put it on. It could be the gauge, it's probably a lot of the yarn, maybe like a combination of both. It feels like I am not wearing anything when I have this on. This is like the perfect summer yarn. I'm not one to gravitate towards like plain colored, simple yarns, but I do love a plant fiber, and this was the first time I had used linen and bamboo blended together. Will buy more of it. It is so beautiful. It's so gorgeous. I think that this would even be really pretty. Now that I'm thinking about it, Brienne has for sale some of this base that's like a burgundy wine color, and I could totally see a long or like bracelet sleeve Ranunculus over my black linen dress. I'm thinking about it. I will be making this again. I love the like lacy yoke. I'm a big fan of my Love Note. That's probably like my most worn piece, and this is probably my most worn like summer piece. Highly recommend. The Ranunculus is worth every penny for the pattern. It's very versatile. Absolutely love it. Oh, I got a cute picture of the Ranunculus. Kind of. I actually made I quilted a baby blanket for a member of Nate's family that we were going to see at like a summer cookout barbecue situation, and Penny helped me take a photo of me holding up the quilt, and it's like the only photographic evidence of me wearing this Ranunculus, so I'll put that picture in here. The focus is on the quilt, which is also very cute. But so that's my Ranunculus. I also have a pair of finished socks. I've talked about these at great length, so I'm not going to say much, but I did just want to show you. This is how, oh my god, these look insane. This is how my crazy sock yarn socks came out. They have been my travel socks for so long, and I think I started these, I can't even remember when I started them, honestly. It's all in my Ravelry, but it just feels like these have existed forever, and I finally finished them. I have a cute little like highlighter toe on both of them. I did an afterthought heel in the same yarn as the main yarn, which I wasn't sure if the heel going around and around and around in this like super variegated yarn was going to make it like pool funny or anything, but I love how it turned out. They're almost like spirally looking. I hate when your eye is drawn like to some variegated yarn in a heel and that's kind of like all you can see, but I think these honestly just look so ridiculous. I just wanted to share. The yarn is Ridiculous Yarns in the Unicorn Barf colorway. They're so pretty. I love them. Oh, I did a longer than usual. I think this was 20 round at the cuff. I haven't worn these yet. They've been sitting like over here at my station so that I remember to talk about them on the podcast, but these are a little longer than normal. I've actually been doing a huge amount of roller skating. Penny, Nate's daughter, has like gotten really into roller skating. I got a new pair of skates, like just broke them in yesterday, and I've been in need of some taller, thicker socks to kind of like hold my feet inside my skates, and I thought it'd be a good time to like start kind of making them a little taller. Honestly, I could have made these longer. I just got sick of it. Didn't feel like it. I had an enormous tube and I was like, this is fine. I want to give knitted socks a try with my roller skates because I am always in need of like a thicker, taller sock. I think these could fit the bill. Those are off my needles. They're so fun. Love them. And then the last thing I want to talk about is my work in progress. I've started another pair of socks. They're not interesting. I am not an interesting sock knitter. Just know that they're the same as always. I got some funky yarn. They're cool. I'll show them when they're done. This project is living in my Nightmare Before Christmas bag that we were gifted by Freckled Crafts. And this is so old that I think I got this on the Woolies. I'm not sure. I've had this bag for a million years. I love a good like fat sweater project bag. I'm doing a knit along with no one else except Sock. It's just the two of us. A 2-person knit along is still just as fun. I don't even remember how we got on the subject of like we should have a knit along or we should like make this together. Somehow in the last week, someone said, remember that cardigan pattern that we want to cast on? We should do it together. So that's what we're doing. So we are knitting the Kingston cardigan pattern. It is a pattern we've both had for a little bit. I think it's been kicking around our stash for like a while, like at least a year or so. I'm pretty sure the pattern was written in 2022, and it is a cropped cardigan that has cable details and like raglan increases, and then a cable detail down both sides, cropped with like a lot of shaping. You will have seen from the picture. The pattern writer is Taylor Owen. She is beautiful at literally everything she does, and all of her photos and everything are just gorgeous. So we got sucked in by the beautiful photos and just the concept of having like a kind of throw over like thicker weight cardigan really appealed to both of us at this like stage of our journey. So there's a lot at play here. The Kingston cardigan is pretty standard in that it's knit flat, raglan increases, separate for the sleeves, you know, you do a little cable down the side, like all of that is normal. Doc and I are not prolific cardigan knitters, but we want to be. We really, really want to be. Every year it seems like time passes, we go, wow, it would be so nice to have a like nice fitted cardigan, and we just don't. So we're like, why don't we just do it now and then we'll have it for fall. So we're doing it. So I got like probably like 20% of the way through the cardigan. There's like some v-neck shaping here. I finished the v-neck shaping and I'm knitting flat, and I'm like, I am gonna expire if I don't do something about this. This is making me crazy. I cannot purl very fast. It like hurts my elbow. I just don't have time to deal with elbow pain, you know, like I'm a busy lady. Purling takes forever, and so I got it in my head that I should figure out how to steek. So this is going to be my first steeking project, second steeking attempt. So before I even show you this, I want to show you my steeking sample I didn't really think it was going to work out. I worked really hard on it and it's very pretty, and I don't know what it can become. If you guys have any suggestions for like what I should do with this, please let me know. But I made a cowl. So I just knit a huge tube in the round, and I recently got a hold of a bunch of Pacific Knit Co. colorwork like doodle packs where the colorwork patterns are on little like trading cards. So I had ample colorwork designs at my fingertips, and I was like, I'm gonna figure out steeking. So I did that. I spent all day making this cowl and I steeked it. Here it is. Obviously, it's holding up. It's one piece. This is really cute. Honestly, it's a shame I don't have any idea what I should do with it. But this all worked out. What didn't work out was the actual steeking reinforcement. I like know what happened and I know what went wrong, and I'm confident in being able to fix my problems on the Kingston cardigan. But this was my sample. You can see what had happened, and this probably is only gonna like make sense to people who have like attempted this before. But what happened with my steeking is that I did not do the ribbing flat. I did the entire thing as a tube. So when you steek, first of all, you should plan to steek in some capacity, do the ribbing flat, and then you join in the round and leave like a gap. There should be like a gap to just jump in and be able to like make your crochet stitches. So unfortunately, my crochet stitches had to go up through the ribbing because I did not like know that. This was just a whole improvised thing. And then because I was like picking up like purl stitches to steek, like it just became a disaster. And I did not, when I had joined the yarn to start the crochet reinforcement, I did not go over a few stitches and then down the steek. I literally just picked right up at the steek stitch, or next to, I picked up right there and just went the whole way down. And I've seen in a lot of videos that people do a few stitches horizontally to like go over to where they need to be and then go down, so it's reinforced sort of around the corner, because it's all gonna get tucked in on itself anyway. So this is what happened. This is one of the pieces, and like now actually that I'm thinking about this, I don't think this project would be all for naught. Like I think I could make this and maybe I'll use this as practice to try to like tack down my stitches or do like one of those like rolled whip stitch. I might not be done with this, but it didn't work out beautifully, but it's also not like falling apart. It's like one solid piece of fabric. So I know what I did wrong. This was just a total like impulse thing. This was not a pattern. This was just something that I thought I could work through. And for me personally, when I learn new things, I always find it helpful to like try, and if I mess it up, I like learn from messing it up because I figure out what went wrong and what happened. So this was a valiant attempt. It is a really cute little fabric rectangle that I have now. That's the backstory. I am confidently going forward with my Kingston cardigan and I'm going to steek it. This is what I have so far. This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. So this is a really difficult color to get to show up on camera, but I think it's helping that I have this like super washed out denim shirt on, because it is similar in color to that. So here's a close-up. Look how pretty. So here's the cable details. There's some V-neck shaping. It ends about here. And then these are the steeking stitches that I added. I know I added a lot. I saw a tutorial from Kristen from Volenvine where she added way more steeking stitches than I've ever seen in any tutorial, and I don't really care if it adds like a little bit of bulk on this sweater. It's just like an open like loosey-goosey cardigan, so it's not a big deal to me. But the larger number of steek stitches across the sweater does make me feel safer for now. So I have, I think like 15 steek stitches across the middle. I'm just working the cardigan in the round now. And yeah, when I get to the point where I'm ready to start the ribbing, what I will do is do a round, get to the steek stitches, bind all of them off, and then do the bottom ribbing, and then I will do the steek reinforcements. I might jump in and do the sleeves first before I do that. I'm not really sure, honestly. I'm very much flying by the seat of my pants. I pretty much use this for the yoke, the raglan increases, the gauge. If you've watched my episodes before, you will know that like after the yoke is done and we've split for the sleeves, I don't really use the pattern anymore. I just go off of vibes. But yeah, so this is my Kingston cardigan so far. I love my yarn combo that I used. It came together totally accidentally. So actually a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, I swatched, and at this point I can't even remember what I was trying to swatch for. I might have not even been swatching for anything, but I held these two yarns together. They were just sitting around in my stash, and I thought, oh my gosh, those are so beautiful. I bet they would be beautiful together. So I made a swatch and I said, wow, that's lovely. Wrote down all my information, like this many stitches on this needle, whatever, and I stuck it on a little post-it note and I put the yarn back in my stash. It wasn't that long ago, but I cannot remember what my plan was. So I sat up in bed one morning and said, I think that gauge is exactly what I need for the Kingston cardigan. So I came downstairs and looked at it, and sure enough, my gauge was spot on. And I was like, okay, cool. So I had swatched for this already in a past life. This is the main color. This is Mace of Skeins on the Spade fingering base in the colorway Gumdrop. It is luscious. Ugh. And this is the fluff portion. This is, oh, here we go again. Oh. This is what the label looks like. I've heard Lina du Nord, I'm not sure. This is the Cash Silk Light base. This is an interesting fluff. It is 70% merino, 10% cashmere, 20% silk. This is my first time ever using cashmere in a fluff yarn. It's luscious. I did already have to order more because I saw this sort of like light at the end of the tunnel in that I was gonna run out of yarn. I only had 4 skeins of this, and I bought this also impulsively from the Moon and Yarn Craft Room. Brienne is out of this colorway specifically, but she has a ton of other colors, and Brienne has them for sale at half off on her website. So these Cash Silk base usually goes for $15 for one of these, and she has it for $7.50 on her website. If you are interested in getting any of this yarn, you should use Brienne's website. But I did snag a few extra skeins of these. These will be coming in the mail to me. And then this is what I've been holding it with together. It's just pastel pink and green, kind of mixed with this blue shade. It's just so pretty. I love, so on this, you can see, even though everything has this like light blue tint to it, these gold specks are still coming up so beautifully. Sorry, this lighting is so stupid. I'm just really excited. This is so cute. Sock pointed out, and I knew this to be true, but I did not do the recommended amount of ease. I didn't want like a big cardigan, and I knew that I didn't have like a ton of this yarn. So I'm doing, I think it'll end up having like 1 or 2 inches of positive ease, maybe. I'm not a big like button up cardigan person anyway. It's just kind of like a sleeve sweater, you know. This is what we got. This is the colorway. It's cute. I still love variegated yarn. I know indie dyers are just closing up shop left and right, but I'm still out here. I still love ya. Very excited about this. It's really subtle. It's really pretty. I just can't wait. So I've been flying through this. I think I started this maybe a week ago or so. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see when I get to those sleeves and the steeking portion. Time will tell. All I know for sure is that I am done knitting flat. It is such a miserable and thankless task. I am, like I said, I'm too busy. I do not have time to purl. So that's it for today. I said this was gonna be shorter, and it kind of wasn't, but that's okay. By the next time it's time for me to podcast, I will have finished up Tour de Fleece. Everyone will have finished up Tour de Fleece. I have so much handspun yarn, like a sinful amount of handspun yarn to show you guys. I have my totals that I've been, like I said, keeping track of my phone. Next episode is gonna be like 100% spinning content. I am very excited. All of us were chatting in our knitting group, and we've all really leveled up at spinning this year. It feels very nice. It feels like a long time coming. Sock and I, with our like steeking of cardigans and the spinning and everything, Sock said, I think we're becoming elders in the craft now. And I said, I think you're right. Exciting stuff to come. Thank you guys for hanging out this long. I will catch you on the next one. Bye.